We go. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's session. And today we're going to do the top 5 apps, new and old. And this is a real opportunity because there are certain apps and extensions and things that we all use every day that we love. And now I'm going to set some ground rules because I think I've got to. Number 1, you are not allowed to say Office 365. That is a monster. You are not allowed to say the Google App Suite. Because that would just be, those are the monsters in the ring. And you're not allowed to say Keynote Pages and the gang, you know what I mean? So they've got to be the non-absolute core apps. They've got to be something that you used. If you say Chrome, that feels a bit like you're cheating a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, you got 3 wishes, I'm going to ask for 3 million more wishes.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Because I think if it's an app that is so useful. So, for example, Chrome not allowed, but I would say something like TweetDeck is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, something's going on.
What's that?
Yep. I don't know. Eric?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just hearing sounds. I think it's a new feature in the system, which of course we're all absolute pros at.
Yeah.
Totally.
Can we say StreamYard? I'm kidding.
I think it's a bit of a giveaway. We're using StreamYard.
Yeah.
But is it in our top 5?
Yeah, right. I mean, I feel like too, it's hard to rate sometimes.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's like, I don't know. It's really hard to say my ultimate top 5, but top 5 that come to mind and aren't too obvious.
Well, I think StreamYard is probably an excellent example of something that's a little bit niche, but we're using it every week, and I think that's really, really, really powerful, and I think that's really good. Yeah. Oh, we got somebody new, somebody whose name I should recognize. Very good. Good evening. We've got James, definitely, but TQ, I should know that person, and I can't think why. Please tell me how I should know you. Now. I'm sure I should know you.
Yeah.
So it's all good. And so we have today. So we're going to go a quick fire round, 1 app each that comes immediately to mind. Eric has started us off. Adriana, 1 app.
My teachers at school are all about Padlet. Can I say that one?
Yep, that sounds fair play to me.
Good. They love Padlet. We're now trying out the Padlet for Schools backpack so that we buy like a big subscription for the schools, but it looks like it's more elementary using it than high school.
Is it okay to pause a little bit if I have questions about an app at this point?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. I'm curious about controlling like who comes in and who contributes in Padlet. Have you had any issues with that? Because I think we had it set up at one point. Maybe it wasn't the backpack for schools version, and it was like really not super easy to make it not anonymous and so.
I think what happened is with the backpack for schools, it was actually harder to share it with the students because what you're supposed to do is it just is your little community, and we hadn't invited the students, so the students couldn't access it. So once we worked that out, so if anything was too secure at the beginning, once we worked that out, it was much easier. And they really, really like it. And now we're using it like in our staff meetings and putting it as a teacher collaboration thing. And, it's just really got legs of its own. So, we will end up buying it. Yeah.
Oh, I've already got a question here. One question about StreamYard. Why can't I play video from YouTube in my Google slide? Oh, and then put that on. That might be a limitation of StreamYard because it's trying to actually push out to YouTube. You can definitely do it in its own tab, and that would always be my recommendation. So there you go. And I've just realized where I recognize him from. I think we're doing something in Malaysia together next week, aren't we? On the Maker Faire. maybe. Same person, I hope. So let's see. Okay, so that was that one. Okay, right. And who have we got? Oh, I'm going round. I think we have to go to SETI.
Can't hear you yet.
Oh, this is fantastic.
No.
Now, if only that were available for American debate. Georgina.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so does it have? Can it be any app? I know Adriana said Padlet just before I popped on, so it can be any app, or it has to be a Googly app, or where are we at?
Okay, so there's some rules. You're not allowed Office 365. You're not allowed the core Apple suite, and you're not allowed the core Google suite either, because that would just be unsporting.
Okay, so got to pull some tricks out my hat then. Okay, let's go with. Okay, here's a simple one that my educators love. Sorry, fighting a little cold here. Is Kahoot. Now, there has been some debate about Kahoot because Kahoot, it puts pressure on some students, right? Some students feel like, oh, I know the Kahoot's coming and I know I'm not good at that topic, and it can really stress them out. On the other hand, it really adds that whole gamification piece and it really engages a lot of learners. So it's a really up in the air, but it's really popular. How are you guys feeling about Kahoot?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. We actually, Kahoot, we use it a lot. Well, we used it a lot. And we actually had to reduce the usage of it because the kids loved it that much that it just became almost too much fun. And so now we do it once a week as sort of a key stage. Once a week, it's a big Kahoot. Everyone gets excited about it. If you don't want to join in, you can opt out. It's really, to sort of have fun. But we use the learning from that week. We try to combine all subjects into that Kahoot on a Friday morning.
Yeah, that's actually when my school was using it pretty regularly. Because it's just, kids were just so excited about it. And then at a certain point, we were doing it every week. We were having some trivia, school trivia, and get everybody in the auditorium last year. And at a certain point, then they started to complain because we were doing it, like for the whole year, like every Friday, which I know that some schools, it's so exciting and fun. Like some groups will never tire of it, but we ended up doing it less just to preserve the excitement. But it was pretty remarkable how much kids liked it.
I always find for Kahoot, I tend to keep it for a plenary because what are you going to do to follow that afterwards? And that's always a hard thing with Kahoot. Yeah. Also, I put a big shout out to Quizzes. That's my second app actually, Quizzes, because it's got a lot more features and you can balance the competition, and they've got power-ups and things so that you never completely lose.
So
and
it's very like Kahoot, yeah?
It is very like,
okay.
But it's an improved version. So it's got the questions are on the kids' screens, for instance. And you've got more question types available and things now. But Kahoot's kind of catching up again. But those two are absolute awesome. In the thing.
Yeah, I would second that. Quizzes is I actually prefer Quizzes now. I think Kahoot it's great fun, but I think fun comes first. Whereas Quizzes, it feels more useful almost.
And they have tried to balance it out. For example, you can pick to only have the top 5 displayed, and the power-ups mean that even if you're at the bottom, if you answer the next question right, you could start to catch up quite quickly. So I think it is really powerful. But Kahoot's the original. But yeah, new Quizzes I tend to do in Quizzes. There we go.
I was just really curious what y'all were thinking because I've seen it from all different aspects and I was curious, but I agree with what all of you said about, and we often say that about tech in general, right guys? And tech is, in pieces and not all at once and not always the same thing. It's just like a toolkit we would have in traditional, different tools in the classroom. We just got to vary it up and keep it changing. So yeah.
Can I just say in my school, we're running lots of trials at the moment. So we're running the Kahoot premium trial and we're running the Padlet school backpack trial. And what we're finding is the thing that I worry about is if we get a school-wide subscription, then the kids are just going to be every class, let's do a Padlet, every class, let's do a Kahoot. So I'm almost tempted to just sort of say we're going to give out 6 premium subscriptions across the school so that, you know, if you want a Kahoot, you can have it, and I can see you're using it. You're going to have Padlet, and we swap about and change it so that we're not, the kids are not saturated with the same tools all the time.
Yeah. I wonder though, because I feel like maybe teachers will notice the effect of that saturation and kind of regulate themselves as well. It's hard to say.
I think it's a great point you're making there. Maybe that could be an entire session on a Thursday, is just the amount of subscription services that are being used, that are available. How many teachers are actually using them, and how are they being used, and how do we evaluate that as teachers? How do we evaluate our own use of these tools, and how are we making the best use of them? Because I mean, when you come to think of it, you know, 10 US here and 20 there and 50 there and 100 there, and it all adds up. And are we really getting the best usage out of all these amazing tools?
Yeah.
And I think also, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, James. I'll follow you.
I was just going to say, I would be very reluctant to pay for a subscription unless you are going to really invest in that model. For example, if you really believe in something and you're going to it's going to be a form of basics. But I would also make sure that you do your homework and due diligence on the company behind it, because we've had a few go down. Edpuzzle is still around, but its competitor died, and I think we'd paid for a subscription or something.
What was the competitor? Educanon or something else?
Is that PlayPosit?
No.
Yeah, PlayPosit. That's what I was.
Might have been.
Yeah.
There was another one. I think it was called. I can't remember, but it's gone now. And yeah, it basically just died with zero notice. And there's been various casualties. Some of them I really liked. So you have to be very careful with the EdTech tools. And how easy is it to get the data out is the other killer. I mean, my biggest loss was something called Versal, which I loved, but it died.
I think a great sign is also often what sort of integration is available with the big players.
Yeah.
Because that's usually a really good sign. Like, for example, when you look at screen recorders, I'm a huge fan of Loom. I absolutely love Loom. But then when you look at it, Screencastify has that integration, that tight integration. So yes, I personally prefer Loom as a screen recorder or sort of as an extension. That being said, though, longevity and money-wise, I would probably, if I had to invest the same amount of money in either of those, I would go with the one that has the backing of those big companies, that tight integration with G Suite, that tight integration, because that's usually a pretty good sign that there's, you know, a stronger business plan behind it.
And also, some tools I don't mind if I'm just going to use it for a lesson. And I'm not going to have to put too much effort into it. Those throwaway tools I'm fine with, because that's an immediate novelty. And then I just hope it's around the next year or whatever.
Yeah, but then it's
if I'm going to
important.
invest,
I'd say then it's important that we do check their terms of service, and you know, what are they doing with it, with all that student data, and do they actually have that available on the website?
Yeah.
I agree. We always take the same approach as you know, I've learned with my operating system upgrades. We always wait until the first little stretch has passed, right? Like let it go for a little bit and see how it's doing, and also see how the users, and make sure the bugs are all out, etc. Same kind of thing with apps. And also we like to buy one subscription and see how many users we can get on it, and see, like Adriana was saying earlier too, like see how many people you're going to get as an uptake. And we have like a little trial. Most companies now will offer you guys trials if you need to test it at your school anyway. Like for example, Cami, our good friend Cami. Am I allowed to start with my second app now, or I should wait to come back?
Go for it.
It's a nice slide in there. One only. Okay. So shout out for Cami. And no, they didn't pay me to say that, but they gave a trial obviously to all the schools globally when COVID came out. But then we said we wanted to trial it again with the newcomers that came, and they gave us an extra little trial, and then we purchased the subscription. So I think it's really nice.
By the way,
KAMI.
KAMI.
I just used that for the first time like yesterday. I've heard about it forever. What's the difference between the free and pro or premium functionality?
That is a really good question. So far, one of the things is that there's a little plus button at the bottom of anything that you bring into it, and it extends the pages. So if you, for example, post an image and you'd like students to identify the features of XYZ, then you could add a question at the bottom, and you could say, right, now go into the creation mode and show me what you can do with that information. And then they have an extra page where they can comment and draw and add video. So it becomes like an annotation into a creation space in the same window. So I really, really like that ability.
So my understanding of Kami has always been that it enabled PDF editing, but is it like a lot more than that, or is it specifically PDFs?
No, it can be anything. So like you can import a JPEG or PNG, like a photo file, and you can also actually send a Google Doc directly to Kami as well. So instead of opening with, you can choose Kami as well. So on the right-hand side, like inside of a Google Classroom assignment, you can send it to open in its own tab, and you can pick how you want it to open. Sorry if I sound like a duck, but hopefully it's okay.
Yeah, that's what Shannon said. She seems to, say that it's a lot more
Shannon's
than what
here. Yeah. Shannon loves it. She, I know we were talking about that off air too. Shannon says there's a built-in turn-in button that integrates, like with our Google Classroom. I don't know about Microsoft, but I guess Shannon will let us know. Or we're not supposed to talk about those ones, right?
No, that's just, you don't say that's your main. This is
You're
my top
integrating
5
it.
Yeah. You can talk about it, but just don't list it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, but I've only ever used the free version. I've never even looked at the premium version.
I will say a couple more add-ons to that. So during online and distance learning, our younger learners really, really appreciate this. So like in the younger schools, obviously all of the schools, I'm sure, because educators are just so awesome globally, they're obviously working towards getting into creative spaces for their learners. But there's still some teachers that, are still in the S part of the SAMR, and they need to add worksheets. And so for our little learners, if they're going to like circle how many caterpillars they see on the screen, they can do that on their iPad device too. So it's actually compatible for them to use on any device. So it's really, really friendly, device friendly, I should say. And they have an amazing support system. So like if you have questions, I mean, Shannon can vouch for that, who's joining us in the chat. Her and I were on Twitter, and they were like so quick to pop in and say, just send us an email with a video recording and we'll help you out with that. So their support is like spot on too. So it's well worth it. And they're really good. They negotiate and they're really awesome. So
Cool. Okay, so that's Kami. Yeah, that's not an app I've used, so it sounds really good. But I think partly because nearly everything I've got is already digital. And I think this is much more about PDF editing. Am I right?
No, it's super cool. You can put in text. Sorry, here I go again. Okay. Check this out. You can click the dictionary button, and it will give the student all the information, like it's a noun. This is the plural, and it gives you examples, and they can collaborate. So they can all be in the Kami edit together, and they can collaborate also. So it's got a whole bunch of other features. Yeah. It's cool. You can video record, and you can voice record. There's sticker features. So there's built-in like emoji stickers and animations that you can add to it as well. So
Interesting. I've forgotten who's done what app, so I'm going to go
skip Sethi because we couldn't hear him. So
okay, so back to Sethi. Let's see what his choice is.
I'd say my number one, really, as a teacher, is Twitter. And I know that sounds strange, and I know it's a social media platform, etc. But once you've developed a professional learning network on Twitter and you've started following a bunch of educators, it is such a game changer in terms of new ideas, getting answers, and just just having all these amazing educators that you can connect with, and at the touch of a button, you can get an answer to a question, or you just have a new idea, and then you just go off and you start planning lessons. And I mean, it's really difficult to explain to someone who hasn't really tried it, but it can be such a game changer.
Can I ask one thing though? I love Twitter, but it drives me nuts when I go back to Twitter and then it's like, you were mentioned in a tweet, and I don't know how to get to that tweet. Does my nut in? And I'm like, what was the original tweet? I can't
I can
find
help
it.
you.
How do I find that?
There's
Help.
a little.
Thank you. Because it's normally you, Georgina, as well. It's like, hey, this is really cool. And I'm thinking, great. What was the original one, though? Like, what was I? What did I agree to do?
I figured out finally.
Because of me? Oh, no. No, but check this out, guys. In your Twitter app, there is when you click on your notifications, there is a mentioned tab at the top right. So if you click on mentioned, you can just scroll through the tweets where you were tagged in. Now, Adriana, maybe you need to check your Twitter more than once every other week, and then you wouldn't have such a large scroll, right? Love you, missus.
It is like, oh my God, I just missed 14 tweets. Oh my God. Yeah, it gets quite unnerving. Yeah.
Yep. I think with Twitter, it's one of those things, but I also think that everybody who is watching right now probably came to us via Twitter, and we're preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge is to share the information on Twitter with those who are not. And one of the most successful schemes I ever saw to get Twitter on board is actually just somebody wrote on the staff room, this week I learned from Twitter, and actually put the cool resources that they'd learned. And I can't even remember which coach did it, but they got more people onto Twitter than anybody else, because people I like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, evidence
That's
of its
really good.
effectiveness. Yeah.
Vipula is the Twitter queen. Totally. I like that idea. I think
sounds
I'm gonna
like something
start doing
Vip
that.
might have done, but I don't think it was her.
I might start putting that in their notices, because I'm trying to push for my own Twitter handle for the library, and they don't see the value of Twitter. They just keep on saying, yeah, but the parents don't follow it. Their focus is the parents. And I'm like, yeah, but we're connecting with this is part of our remit, that kind of thing. So I might start putting that into the staff newsletter.
We had the same pushback, and then when we suggested Instagram, everyone was on board. Everyone was on board with that. So we actually have an Instagram account for our farm. We have a separate one for our library and another one for our makerspace.
Nice. But does your school see that as marketing? Because that's what they can't separate from. They don't see Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as legitimate teaching and learning tools.
We see it as communication.
To communicate with marketing, and it's not it's kind of a marketing tool, but first and foremost, I want it to be a teaching and learning tool.
I mean, I feel for Twitter.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think for Twitter, it's great for communicating with educators. Instagram is brilliant for communicating with parents.
Yeah, and that's how we use it. So Twitter is really up to the teacher. They want to communicate, with each other. Great, go for it. There's a hashtag you can use. You don't have to. Instagram, we have our own accounts, so the farm, the makerspace. We communicate the learning that's going on and a little bit of the thinking behind it, because they don't always understand, why are these kids cutting bamboo up? Like, what's going on? So a bit of the learning behind, and just communicating that. And then Facebook, that is very much marketing. Some of the communication goes up there, but it's usually a link to the communication from Instagram. I think the posts on Facebook, and you'll see that with many schools, I think, is very much salesy. A lot of the posts on Facebook are selling the school.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's fair enough, because I think that is basically where Facebook has ended up.
I think
Instagram.
Anybody who does have Instagram, do you get a lot of interaction with the students? Because we want to do a big push on mental health in October, and I'm sort of saying, well, can we get the kids to be posting? If we do a reading as a mental well-being activity, can we get the kids linking with our Instagram? But do you find that the kids want to link with the school Instagram, or are they too woke for that?
We get some, we get a lot of parents. So that's the first thing. A lot of the parents follow the Instagram accounts. We see some children, but the problem there with the students is that often the ones that we do see are the ones that shouldn't really be on that platform in the first place.
Right.
Because they're often 8, 9, 10, so they shouldn't be on that platform at all. But it's a great conversation starter, sort of like, I saw you like the post. Is that your mom's account? And you can get into that. You can get the ball rolling. We don't get a lot of. We get a lot of our students that have sort of moved on. So once they've left the school, they want to keep in touch, and it's because it's sort of they miss the school. They're now off to university, college, and they still have that link with the school, and so we do see those students following our accounts.
And
I was going to say, it's really important to make sure, because every school is different and every country is different. You need to check for like FERPA and COPA and GDPR if you're in the Europe, and like also regions dependent on what's popular in that culture. So like here in Jordan, and actually a lot across the Middle East, it's very WhatsApp popular. And I heard from Gary and a few others in your regions that it's also popular down that way. But like in North America, people are like, WhatsApp, what's that? And very interestingly enough, my sister shared WhatsApp with me first when she visited me in Egypt in 2011, but then I guess it died over there and it really grew a lot down this part of the world. So I think the students also will depend on what is being used in the community and what they have access to seeing, and so Shannon mentioned also in the chat that like she has a class Instagram account, so that's super awesome. And so that's another idea, is that you could use social media to set up class accounts, but what you need to be careful with, this is what I found, is that it's smart, right? There's always AI working in the background of these things. So if you set up a class account, your personal accounts will also be there. So people will be like, oh, you connect with this person, go connect with Miss Dean on the personal account as well. So you need to be really careful. Yes, exactly.
And I think with Instagram, you do actually have to completely divorce them. Otherwise, a lot of people use Instagram for personal stuff. And what Shannon also said was Wakelet, and what's Wakelet's good at is meshing all of this stuff together. And I think we'll let Shannon have her own entry there. I think. Would you say
when
that's
is
fair?
Shannon going to join us in the show?
Yeah, Shannon. She should just come on now.
It's like,
she should
Can
just
we
come
send
on.
I say
in
we
here?
should share the link. Share that link.
Yeah.
Get her in.
Shannon, okay, so Shannon's joining from California. I think it's super early morning. So Shannon, wakey, and pop on with us.
Does anybody have Shannon's direct contact, by the way?
I do.
Okay.
Shall I share the link?
Yeah, you share the link. See if she's up for it.
Hey, James, I want to hear what you think is a great app.
I do have an app. I just remembered.
The binary.
It's all well and good doing apps, but actually, I think sometimes it's more fun to create apps. So here's an app I've created that I'm kind of really enjoying playing around with, and each week it gets better because I've just sorted out the plurals now, and I'm just now looking at things like tenses and ings and things like that, and how we can add that in. But the English department are absolutely in love with it, and they were like, "This could actually save me like 30 hours of planning." And I'm like, "But it's a toy, that is starting to really work now." So I'm really, really pleased with it. And SETI have said if everybody subscribes and he gets 200k subscribers, he's going to make sure he features on his show. That's what I heard. So please, don't just the viewers. Make sure you actually do it.
200 or not, it's getting a full feature. I'm working my way through that list.
Could you turn that round though, and then just get Sethi to highlight it, and then you'll get your users?
Yeah, that's true. If that's right. If he puts RDPT up, then he'll get 200,000 subscribers. Yeah, you're right. That's probably why.
There you go. Sorted.
Let me have a look. I think you're third one down now at the moment.
Okay, I'm getting. Yeah. So I just it's one of those things that it's been fun to write an extension. So for me personally, it's in my top 5 because I'm I've been happily writing it. And yeah, I did make an app for playing around with binary, which was good fun on Android a few years ago. But yeah, it is fun to write things as well. So I enjoy that.
Cool. Well, so I want to say a couple, like one of them, I say two because one of them is like super fast because it's not an app that you need, like all the time, but when you need it, it's extremely handy. And so it's an extension that's called Go To Playing Tab. And so here's like once in a while, you've got a tab that's making noise, and it may or may not be something you expected. Like I can't remember, I was teaching and it was a Zoom class, and then all of a sudden, I've got a million tabs open all the time, and one of those tabs started playing. It was an ad, it was a YouTube video, something like that, who knows. And so I was like, oh my gosh, where is it? I couldn't find it. It was horrible. And so, but if you have sound coming out of your any tab in Chrome, you just click on the play button for Go To Playing Tab, and it will take you to that tab so that you can turn it off, or maybe you wanted to show it on screen. Hey there. And so that's super handy. So I wanted to mention that. And second, something I'm really excited about lately is called Switch Workstation. I'm going to put the link to that in the chat also. So let me, I'm going to share my screen and see if I can show that. Again, I said like I've got a million tabs open all the time. And so here, first off, RDPT. And here on the side is my Switch Workstation. And it's basically, it's all of the tabs that I have open. I have seriously, right now, I have and use like 4 different kinds of tab management tools. But this one is my new favorite. I wrote a review in the Chrome Web Store that said that I admitted that I actually have a crush on this extension. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy. So basically, like, for example, like this, I've got 2 windows of this open, and I can just close one easily here, but it just helps you go through. So like I've got 6 windows where I'm just looking at my extensions. And so, but you can just get an overview of what you have. And instead of having to flip between all these tabs, you just get used to using the icons, and you can see what you've got and manage them much more easily. So it's Switch Workstation, and I just think it's the best.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Excellent. Welcome, Shannon. We gave you your first one. So I have an important question for you. Where is colder right now, UK or Canada?
Oh, I don't know. I'm in the United States,
right.
but I mean, I could Google that for you if you'd like.
Yeah, no,
it's
right.
the UK. The UK is colder. It's freezing here. It's really cold. Oh, it's not really, but I just feel like it is.
Yeah. Mrs., have you been to the UK?
Sorry, who are you talking to? Are you talking to me?
I don't think Adriana's ever been there.
I have a passport. I have a UK passport. That's how I landed here.
Okay, I was trying to be funny. I'm clearly still in the process of working on that part of my career. Anyway, Canada and America can definitely be much colder than England, as far as I'm concerned. When your hair gets frozen, if you're going out in the morning with wet hair and it like can snap off, I'd say that's pretty cold.
Yeah. Okay.
Gary
it's all about
Not
perspective.
where you are, I take it, Shannon.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah, I'm in California, so we don't get any of that. I'm right in the smack middle. So right now it's like 90 something degrees every single day. So
wow,
cold isn't our reality.
Is that a good opportunity to bring in the weather app? No.
Is there a weather app that you trust?
Oh, I was really trying to be funny on that one. It just didn't catch. When I'm not trying, it works. When I'm trying, it just flops. So yeah.
I think we should let Shannon have a choice of app. Go on then, Shannon.
She mentioned one earlier.
Well, I said Wakelet.
Yeah.
I said Wakelet. I'm pretty obsessed with Wakelet right now. I feel like it's an app that it's versatile for both teachers and for students. Right now, a lot of so we're completely virtual teaching right now. And so a lot of teachers they have this idea that they need to create all new lessons. And I keep like pushing them to Wakelet, because I'm like, there's 1,000 curated boards there that give you all of these different lessons you can use, and people have made them public. So use them because they're there, right? So it kind of is alleviating some pressure for our staff there. And then for students, it allows for an opportunity for like curating a resume, or for me, I do a lot of synthesis where they have to go do research and combine it. And so it gives them a platform that's easy to use. And it's the extension is what makes that platform like the best, because you come across, like, I love to research. And so I come across 1,000, I feel like, articles a day. Just pushing the extension, and I can just add it to a board. I don't have to copy and paste and transfer. It doesn't get lost in my bookmark bar. So I really love it.
Yeah, I mean, we asked for an example, and here's one for Apple fans. It was when I hosted the Apple Edu chat recently, and it is just brilliant for collating things, isn't it? So yeah, good. Right, I think we'll let Adriana have a turn.
Oh, okay. I wanted to actually ask, I have a great student in my new school who emails me weekly with little ideas that he feels the school should incorporate. That's how I've ended up with a Minecraft club that I do not know how to run, and people keep bombing each other. But he brought up GoGuardian. I don't know anything about it. Has anybody heard? I know it's like the top ones, but now I'm asking the crew about this GoGuardian, and apparently it's a good way to monitor people.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of.
It's got all the bells and whistles. Like, you can control what's happening on the students' computers. You can see what's happening on the students' computers. It sort of ups the cat and mouse game to the ultimate level. And I don't know. It's probably really great. Is
it like Harper Dashboard? Has anybody used Harper?
I feel like that's not the worst comparison. What you have something to say there, Sethi?
We actually went with Blocksy, which is very similar. So you've got sort of Hapara, GoGuardian, Blocksy. They all do very similar things. I think GoGuardian has more bells and whistles, whereas Blocksy is a bit more in the background. You sort of, from a distance, you're sort of making sure everything's fine. You can set up keywords that are automatically flagged. It fully integrates with the admin console. I think GoGuardian is more of you can go in and completely take over. Whereas we can blank the screen and say heads up rather than take over, or we can just turn off a tab. Let's say that they're listening to Spotify when they shouldn't be. We see the little symbol of Spotify and we can just close that.
Yeah.
Whereas with GoGuardian, you go in and you take over the mouse and the.
Okay.
They both require installation.
I don't like it.
Do they all require students to install on their computer as well as?
I don't know about GoGuardian. I know Blocksy syncs with Google Classroom, so they join the Google Classroom, and then you pull in your class into the teacher dashboard from your Google Classroom.
Interesting.
And then you've got access, and it takes sort of snapshots of their screen every 20 seconds. I think you get like a screenshot, sort of.
And how much bandwidth does this one gobble? I guess that's
very minimal, because you have to activate your class, so you don't see anything live until you actually click on Start Class. So you set your time, say that your sessions are 40 minutes or 50 minutes, depending on what your school uses. You go in, and let's say that you have an activity where all your students are on a Chromebook. So you don't use it all the time. You only use it when you know they're going to be on screens that you can't, sort of hover and walk. I still prefer to walk around because I can't sit still. I hate sitting still. But if you are going to do that, you click on Start Class, and then it starts sort of actively every 10, 20 seconds, taking screenshots and monitoring that. And at the end of the class, it stops.
And that's
so it's not taking video.
No.
It's for Chromebooks?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you spell it?
Okay.
Bloxy. Can't hear you
Oh,
now.
he's cut.
Oh,
I
you're
think
muted. Here in
Yeah.
StreamYard, you're muted.
Yeah.
Bloxy, BLOCKSI.
Okay.
It's probably the same spelling as oppression.
Wow, Adriana, you're the one who said we should.
Mind you,
No.
I can see where you're coming from, because I was very much against it.
Like
I was very much against it. I don't really use the active monitoring, but the keyword filter is brilliant. They have a tool called Student Safety, which basically flags potential issues like self-harm or like depression, or where it's sort of AI goes in, and if it sees a combination of 2 or 3 keywords, it flags an email or a conversation between students saying there is a potential issue here of cyberbullying, or there's a potential issue of depression, because they've been talking about, oh, I hate my life so much, and my mom and dad this. And so I do like that side of it. Again, communication is key. All your students have to know that everything they say, everything they type, everything, you can see it. They're on your system, they're on your network, they're on the school domain. You can see it. They know that. And that's the same for the Google Vault. The Vault, you can see it, but you have to manually go in, and whereas Bloxy just does it in the back end, and it uses AI to do it.
It reminds me a little bit of how, a long time ago, when you're in class, everybody's got their papers on the desk because there's only paper, and they're writing in pencil, and everything is clearly visible, and everybody knows that everything is clearly visible. It's not like, there's nothing high tech about the teacher walking around the classroom. But these days with computers, the thing that they're using to work or to play has a built-in shield. It's their screen is vertical, and so it changes that. And so at that point, everybody also knows the teacher can't see what I'm doing. And so as long as it's not sneaky and spy tech, as long as everybody knows how open everything is, I don't think it's necessarily that oppressive, but it depends on how
I just don't want it to replace the conversations you could be having, because every parent workshop that I run, all the parents are like, can I get some sort of app that tells me what the kids are doing and things like that, and for them it's easier to do that than to have the conversation with your students or to talk to them about being transparent and things like that. And I don't want those conversations to get lost, and I've got this spyware now, so I can just check up on that, rather than teaching them to have a go-to person when they're feeling that way. And even if it's not me, it's another teacher, or it's a parent or a brother or whatever. And in some ways it can be seen as a replacement for that.
I agree with that, but we do have those people in place. And interestingly, in the last 3 years that we've been using it, the ones that have sort of been flagged by the system are the ones that we absolutely had no idea. They seemed perfectly fine. They were the ones, they're social butterflies, the ones that everyone was convinced everything was fine. The ones that everyone was already worried about, of course, they get flagged constantly, but we just ignore those because we know that they're, what they're going through. And because they have those conversations with their tutors and with their teachers and with their, everyone has sort of that one, because every student at our school has one teacher. So we give it 3 or 4 weeks, and then we decide on who will be that key person that they sort of know this is your, your contact person. And but yeah, interestingly, the ones that have been flagged, we had no idea. We just, it came as a real surprise.
I think it's really important, though, what Adriana said about the parent community. So we're talking about like everybody being part of that whole circle and team and whatnot. And I think that's an episode for another show where we talk about things that can help our parent community of teachers or other community members that are watching that are parents. I think that's going to be really key. And I think, yeah, absolutely. Because like Adriana, I do a lot of parent training. Oh, that way. Sorry. Oh, no, it's still that way. That was just awkward, and then I was like, oh man. Yeah, no. So I think that that's like really, really important is that people, the world has become so busy now, right? Is that people want that quick fix. And actually, is that just a little band-aid on top of the bigger issue of having a real conversation to actually understand, right? And so I like what she said. I think it's really important that everybody has a chance to understand how they can have better choices and meaningful conversations with their kids.
Well, a big part of the whole equation is that I think a lot of times parents may not be sure that their child is going to be honest with them, which has always been an issue too. As long as there have been parents and children, there's been that concern as kids grow up. There's things that they don't want to share, but so that should be no different than it has been in the past, except that when maybe a parent leans too much on a tool like this, then they may not feel the need to work as much on getting getting to the truth with their kids, getting honest, authentic conversation with their kids, because like, oh, I got what I needed, I don't need to do that, when in fact it's still important.
I like the idea. Sorry, James, I'll just finish this quickly. I like the idea of, Seti saying that it's still important to have somebody watching. We always need to be able to give evidence, right? Data speaks, tenfold, and we need to be able to have that. And if parents can try to get in the same mindset, like, I have this in my pocket, I know I can pull this if I need to tell my child that I'm watching, but I'm going to trust them and I'm going to see how everything goes. So I think it's the fact that they can make an educated decision for them and for their families, but we need to help educate them first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Give them something to base the conversation around if necessary.
Yeah. Well, this got deep really quickly.
But like the parent side of it, we actually haven't activated that for Blocksy, just because we feel that we don't want to panic people as well. Because, for example, when a keyword would be flagged, say they've searched for something and, they're teenagers, the way you deal with it is 99% of what's going to happen. So, for example, we've had multiple occasions where something was searched for, and we literally just, call them in at some point and say, I saw that you were, wondering a bit about that and that. And, if you've got any issues, you can always ask your questions, and, we've got, so-and-so. And so we don't sort of come down on them saying, oh, you should not be searching for those terms. No, they're wondering, but we do give them that sort of gentle reminder that, you do realize that if there's a word you don't understand, or if there's something you're worried about, you can ask those questions. There is a safe place for that. We've got maybe even, the anonymous drop off where you can ask your questions, and, it helps you as a teacher and as a school, I think, to better accommodate. And I can see, 100% where you're coming from, Adriana. It's how is the school going to deal with it? Like a tool like Blocksy in the hands of a school that is very much going to come down with a hammer. Terrible, worst possible thing for that school, because every student that does even the slightest thing wrong is just going to get you searched for this, therefore detention, 2 days. And there are schools like that out there. But if you're in a school that puts the students first, then I think it can be.
But that's why I worry if parents are asking for that sort of software. It makes me feel that they're not going to use it in the best way.
We've had questions, and our answer has always been, we have a workshop coming up on e-safety, and we would love for you to attend. Here are the times. Will you be attending? Usually the case is more of it's sort of, so what does your son or daughter, they take their laptop into their bedroom and they disappear all night. Okay, well, I can see where the issue is there, but do you want me to tell you?
I think this is a really good discussion, and I think probably for next week, I think we should talk about parent communication. I think it'd be really good. And I think Georgina should lead that, because that's good. I want to wrap this up today, and I just want to wrap up with a couple of things.
Did we even get all of our apps?
We got 10 minutes. Let's do it. Yeah.
There you go. You've got one
James.
One app quick round. Okay, so I'll be quick. My go-to app that everybody loves is the print and PDF thing, and it just cleans up web pages when you want to make a PDF. It's just an extension, and it just gets rid of all the advertising and all the rubbish. So that's mine. Eric, 20 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Let me see. I'm being very slow. Okay. So Chrome Remote Desktop is just something because TeamViewer is pretty cool. Like, you can control somebody else's desktop when they send you a code and stuff. But it costs if you use it for non-personal use. But it's a little complicated to install, but you can like walk somebody through that in Zoom. And because sometimes it's like you're going to help somebody with something and you just want to sit at their keyboard, but we're all the way away from everybody these days. And so you can take control of somebody's computer when they send you a code, and you can like do and show in that way instead of having to tell them. Sometimes that's the best solution. And Chrome Remote Desktop is free, and it makes that possible very easily.
A counter to that, if you're using Mac OS or Windows, Zoom will actually allow you to do that with permission. So that's actually pretty good.
Oh I'm really curious about that. Oh, okay. I have to look into that. What's the function called? Looks like Shannon agrees.
Take control.
It's called remote control.
Wow. Okay. Forget the other stuff. Super. Wow,
it's
that's
exceptional.
amazing.
It is wonderful, and it helps guide.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, Adriana.
I just want to. Oh, hold on. I want to shout out to Toby. Toby helps me organize all my tabs.
Yeah, it's a person.
It puts it into great little areas that I want to do. And so every time no matter where I am, I've got all my tabs with me. I really love it. And then if you see something you like, you can just click it and put it into your tabs. Toby.
Toby Tab Management. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is awesome. Okay, so Shannon is next.
Well, this app, it really is only available for those in the United States and Canada and a couple of our surrounding areas. So sorry, but I'm going to say it anyways because it changes my life. I love there's a service called Remind. And essentially what it does is it's for schools and teachers and students, and you give a code out and they, subscribe to your Remind class, and you can send out blast text messages to your students. They don't get your number, you don't get theirs, and everything gets saved. So nothing can be deleted. So it's safe in that part. And also it allows for calls. And in addition to that, you can do individual text messages, set up like do not disturb hours or office hours. It's like during this virtual time, it has like allowed me to extend myself to students when they need it, and really like check in a personal way that doesn't really exist through the computer. So I love it.
Nice.
Cool.
Wow. Georgina?
Okay, I saved my best for last. Shout out to Adobe Spark, a super sleek, professional, free tool for infographics, web design, and also video. So you can do animations or video journaling. All three are brilliant for diaries and journals and professional e-portfolios. And even our younger students, as little as like year one, can access that. So it's free for K-12 across the board in most countries. I never want to say 100% just in case there's that one country that can't get it. But if you're in a K-12 school, you should be able to have access. And I love it to bits. And most of my educators and students do too. So yeah, Spark.
Cool.
Nice.
Seti.
Yeah, first of all, I want to second what Eric said about the Chrome remote access. I love it. I absolutely love it. I actually quite enjoy my break time in between sessions. So I always make sure I go to the staff room and grab a coffee. And I often get the question, well, how do you get everything set up for the next class? Well, that's exactly how I do it. While I'm having my coffee, I open up my phone and I get my desktop computer in the classroom all set up and ready. And so I get more time to just sit on the sofa and enjoy a coffee. Cool. But yeah, my second big app would be Clever Badges.
Oh my gosh,
Single sign-on for K-12. It is a huge time saver. All our students have lanyards with IDs and they check in. Just a Clever tag on the other side, and they can just hold it up to the webcam and they're signed in. It is brilliant.
That's so cool. I tried to, I sent them a message and said, hey, let me hear some more about your service like a month ago, and they never got back to me. I don't know. Is that typical?
Reach out to them on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally Twitter.
So does that kind of replace
And
registration?
make sure you mention it that you reached out a month ago. They'll hate it and they'll get back to you.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm having that with Zoom. They're not upgrading our system for the drop the 40 thing, and they're like on Twitter, they're like, oh, is a big backlash, I'm really sorry about that. It's, the delay, and it's like, but I'm getting an email every day saying, do you want to go premium? So if you hit me up every day to pay some money, you could at least contact me for that. Naughty.
It is a challenge.
Gary says in the chat, we must give Gary a shout out because he couldn't be with us live. He says the Family Link app for parents, guys. What do we know about that?
Nothing.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about it next week when we're talking more about parents, just because it sounds like he's familiar with it. So maybe we can, maybe he can be on and
Yeah.
I love it.
Forward to seeing you next week, Gary. Thank you very much. One more little thing. Tomorrow and the weekend, in celebration of ISTE, I've made my gamified classroom book free again.
Nice.
Which I should put a link up for. It will start at about 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'm doing well here. So, that book will be free, if I could actually get it right. So please do enjoy that. It'll be 2 p.m. Thailand time. It'll be later in the US, but if you go Saturday or Sunday, you'll get a free copy of the book, which will be nice. And when are you presenting, Georgina, for ISTE?
That is a good question. Georgina does not do well with time zones. It's sometimes Saturday evening in my time zone, I think around 9 p.m. GMT +3, but I will definitely tweet it. So check out Twitter and I will send the links, but don't miss James's episode that way. Oh, I had it right the first time.
1 a.m. Your only chance to see me up that late.
Guys, don't miss James's show, okay? He is a brilliant speaker, as you guys can see. So for our audience watching, you need to go and see James's show. I'll be in the back end moderating and celebrating James.
Yay.
Awesome. Right. That's been Thirsty Thursday, PD. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining, Shannon.